So College of Law, the PLT for me, and here's one of our wonderful graduates. Don't know if you remember Jaya Jen. She was with us a couple of years ago. She's a University of Queensland student and now is a practicing lawyer in a very interesting area, actually, in resources. So she's just lovely and the new face of college at the moment. And what Jaya has to say is that she loves the flexibility of practical legal training at the College of Law when she went through, and she found that fitted in really well to her busy life, working in the resources area and doing everything else she had to do. So let's learn some more about PLT. So I love this new analogy that we've got happening. University is very much about laying the groundwork and the foundations with the theoretical knowledge of the law. So let's just sort of envision that as the boat. And now we're getting ready to sail that boat, which is it's a very good analogy when you guys are so close to the beautiful ocean in Cairns. And I'm just picturing that lovely lagoon on the esplanade there. FYI, my dad built that. So there's a little bit of inside knowledge for you. My dad literally built it. So now we're going to learn how to sail. We're going to take all that theoretical knowledge about the law that we've learned at university, and we're going to add the practical skills through practical legal training to be able to sail out into law land and work as an entry-level lawyer with confidence and competence. So that's what we're aiming to do, give you the practical skills on top of that theoretical knowledge. And of course, as lawyers, we are always learning. So it's not something that finishes at the end of university or at the end of PLT. We're lifelong learners in the law, which is kind of exciting. There's always something new to learn. So our graduates talk about flexibility of the College of Law and the fact that it does fit around work and family and all the other things that we do. And as long as you're sort of keeping in touch and letting us know what's going on, our lecturers and our support staff certainly work to be able to assist you, as the hurdles of life come up, to be able to get through practical legal training. It's very supportive. So we've got our lecturing staff, we've got our student services staff, and we've got career counsellors too that are there for you while you're a PLT student with us. And it means that our graduates have been telling us that it means that you're stepping out into an entry-level law job all ready to go as a real lawyer once you're admitted, with the confidence and competence to succeed. And it also means that you've got the opportunity to practice those skills in a safe, secure and supportive environment. You can make your mistakes, you can get feedback, and you can learn from those mistakes and make sure that you hopefully don't make them out there when it counts. At PLT, nobody's going to jail, no one's losing their houses or their businesses or their families. It's not real. There's no real consequences. You can just gain that feedback and make your mistakes and learn from them. So hopefully everyone is aware that just having a law degree isn't enough to call yourself a lawyer. In fact, you can get yourself into some trouble from the powers that be if you do call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor before you are admitted to the Supreme Court. And in fact, even using that term graduate solicitor is not a good idea. There's no such role. You're not any kind of lawyer or any kind of solicitor until you are admitted. So you're either a law graduate or you're a solicitor. And obviously, once you are admitted, you still have, are a graduate of law, but you can have that extra title, but you can't use it till admission. So the career pathway, you will certainly require a degree. That is the very first step in the process. Then you will add those practical legal training skills at the College of Law. And that actually does give you a second qualification, which is the Graduate Diploma of Legal Practice. So you can hang that on the wall next to your degree. Then you will go through the process through the admissions board to declare yourself a fit and proper person and jump through all the hoops that you're required to jump through. You'll stand up in an admissions ceremony that do get held up in Cairns and also Townsville. We actually had one in Brisbane on Monday that was just lovely. And once you stand up, someone moves your admission, which means they stand up. You don't have to do any talking. They're the ones that sort of speak to the court and say what qualifications you have, where you did your PLT, that you have complied with all the requirements of the board, and that you have the recommendation of the board, and that there's nothing standing in the way of you being admitted. And then the judges, there's three, the middle ones, he looks at both of them and says, let blah, blah be admitted, and then you sit down and the next person stands up. So it's pretty cool. You say a couple of oaths as a group, and then you sign the roll of solicitors, and that's it, you're admitted, and then you'll receive your practicing certificate from the admissions board after that as well. So that's pretty exciting, and that's when you can call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. You can, of course, work in other legal or non-legal roles with that qualification. You don't just have to be a lawyer, and there's so many different jobs and different ways to be a lawyer as well. If you do want to go on to be a barrister, there is another exam to take to get into the bar course. Then you do the bar course, and then you're admitted as a barrister. And solicitors and barristers are separate in Queensland. It's not the case in some other states, but certainly it is in Queensland. So that's basically the flow of it. So we're all about giving you choice, and that helps to make our practical legal training course as flexible as possible. So the choice is yours. And I do have some important information about us teaching in Cairns, so I'll share that with you as well. So the first choice is, do you want to do the course 100% online, or do you want a blended learning situation? So bit of history for you. Before COVID, way back in the olden days in 2019, we used to do week 1 face-to-face, and then the rest of the course was online. So you would be given your tasks and assignments. You would work on those. You'd submit them to a lecturer like Jen. She's there if you have any questions, if you're not sure about anything. She sort of mentors and guides you through, and sort of assesses your work, gives it back to you with feedback to let you know that you're on the right track or what you need to tweak. But the week 1 was always a week of face-to-face workshops, and then you sort of splintered off into the rest of the course online. Now, we used to come up twice a year to Cairns at the end of June, at the end of November, and we would teach that at JC, probably in very close to where you guys are sitting now, in JCU, quite often in the city campus. Now, of course, COVID happened, and we moved the whole thing online 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago in 2020. So while week 1 was online, it was kind of a little bit different, still interactive, still face-to-face. So you had to be in a Zoom situation, but not like this with kind of a one-way conversation. You would all be boxes on the screen as well, interacting, discussing. Jen would send you off into breakout rooms. You'd come back. You'd do some stuff in the room with your group. You'd come back, and it's still, and you have to be on screen because Jen has to put her hand on her heart and promise the admissions board that you were there all day, every day. And so then you would move off into the course as usual. Now, we're coming out of COVID, hopefully, touching wood, and we're moving back to that, to some courses being like that. However, a lot of people are still loving the online. And of course, being in Cairns, it all of a sudden meant that you didn't have to wait 6 months till the next time we were sending Jen or one of our colleagues up there to run those face-to-face workshops. You could join any class, and it's been very popular. So we're still planning on coming up to Cairns in June. However, we do need a minimum of 10. So if you're keen to do that face-to-face, you need to round up 9 of your mates and have them all sign up for that face-to-face class. If there isn't 10, we will move all those people into the Zoom classroom. Now, the reason we need 10 is that the interactive workshops just don't work with less than 10. It's not as an effective learning situation. So that's why there has to be that minimum. So that will be up to you guys. And we may have limited face-to-face teaching in Cairns just because we're finding people preferring online. However, at any time, if there was 10 people ready to go face-to-face, we would, of course, pack one of our lecturers up there and run a bespoke course. So that's your choice, 100% online, week 1 still full-time in a face-to-face situation, or in that blended learning environment when we come to Cairns or Townsville, Gold Coast, or Sunshine Coast, or Rockhampton or Toowoomba, wherever you happen to be. You can, of course, choose full-time or part-time, much like uni. Now, full-time is 15 weeks, so that first week is those interactive workshops. Even though it's online, you can't be working on this screen and doing PLT on this screen. You have to be with us and have your attention with us 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. There is another option. I'll tell you about that shortly. And then the rest of the course, the other 14 weeks is full-time online, submitting all your work. Part-time, week 1 is full-time. So again, you have to give us 9 to 5, Monday to Friday for week 1. But then the other 29 weeks is part-time, and you work it in and around your work schedule or your family commitments and everything else that you happen to do. So those are the options. The other option we do have is, instead of that, this has been so popular. It's been so popular, we've had to put on 2 extra intakes, and they've had something like 60 people in them. So it's called our evening course. And what we do is we take week 1 and we carve it up. We carve the 5 days up into 12 slices. And you do those classes Tuesday and Thursday nights, online via Zoom. And you don't, so if you've just started a new job, or you're particularly busy at work, and for whatever reason you don't want to wait till you're less busy to come and do it in 1 week block, you can carve that up, and it's about 12 classes ish, Tuesdays and Thursday nights online after work via Zoom. So that's been very popular as well. So the other choice we have is your work experience. So you can find your own work experience, and most of our students, to be honest, have done that. So it's and we advertise PLT placements on our website, and we have our careers counsellors there that can help you with the skills you need to apply for jobs. So there is a little bit of support there as well, or it's just, if you're already working in a legal position, which I know some of you are, that can count as well, and I'll explain further about that shortly. So we've done a little bit of market research in the last year, and this is what our students are telling us about the 4 main benefits of College of Law that they see. It's flexible, it fits in with everything else that you do: work, family, sport, time for yourself, which is really important, all that sort of stuff. So all the other things we have on a plate, which, you know, every year just seems to be more and more. So it's flexible, it fits in and around all that. It's also a real focus on real world tasks rather than old school theory. So it's giving you those real life practical skills, mimicking work, mimicking what it's like to be an entry level lawyer, to give you that confidence and competence to do the job for real in the real profession. It's setting you up for success. You've got support from your lecturer, from our careers counsellors, from our support staff, and you're gaining that feedback and learning from your mistakes, and then putting it back into your work. And then sometimes you might have the opportunity to resubmit. So you're practicing in that safe, secure, supportive environment. And we're also been around for a long time. We're highly trusted in the profession and by law graduates and our graduates. So I think it's something like 77% of Australian law graduates across the country do College of Law, and about 30 or plus of Australia's leading law firms, which are Australian leading firms, but a lot of them are actually global firms, put their have College of Law embedded into their graduates program. So we actually will send lecturers like Jen down there to teach our classes, teach the classes down there, and sometimes they go down for assessment. So they're actually part of the graduate program. So if you do end up in one of those programs, you'll be coming to us as a matter of course. I've talked about a little bit of this, online or mixed, day or night, so the evening course, 15 or 30 weeks. And after you've made all those decisions, I guess the next decision is which intake do you do? We've got about 30 different intakes in Queensland. I've lost count because we've added at least 3 new classes already, and it's only April. So about 150 across Australia. So you can see that, you know, we're very good at this. We do it a lot. And we've been training legal graduates for 48 going on 49 years. And, you know, been teaching practical legal training since it came into play in the 90s. So we've done this before. I think we've talked about all of this. There's my lovely friend Jessica. She's a recent graduate. And also lots of different locations. So in Queensland, if you did want to do it in so it's online, but the face-to-face also runs in the Brisbane CBD, where our office, our main campus is, right smack bang next to King George Square, for those that you know Brisbane, and not far from the Supreme Court actually. But we also teach in Cairns, on the Gold Coast, Rockhampton, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba and Townsville, and then you can see all the other locations around Australia as well. Queensland was the first state to teach outside of our main campus, so we're leading the way always. Look, there's too many dates of when we've got stuff starting. I would go onto our website at collaw.edu.au and check out, and then click on Queensland, and then it'll list like, here are the full-time courses, here are the part-time courses, here are the evening courses, and you can select which one suits you. We've got them up there till about October, I believe, and very shortly, probably in the next month, a couple, maybe 2 months, we'll have courses up ongoing after that as well. But pretty much what the dates we had this year, we'll have that. So if there was the second week of January this year, you can be pretty confident that'll be the second week of January next year. We don't get too sort of excited with our timetable, do we, Jen? We just rinse and repeat it every year most of the time, so that you can expect it. All right, let's start talking about the nittiest grittiest. So this is the fun bit. I like to think about PLT around the 3 course pillars, and that's a new word we put into the presentation, and I like that word, pillars. So these are the 3 pillars holding up or supporting practical legal training. You've got the coursework, you've got the work experience, and then you've got the continuing professional education. And let's talk about all 3. So let's just imagine in your head, where it says 3 course pillars, change that in your head to your name, and then there's 1, 2, 3 underneath. On the first day of PLT, those will all be blank. And by the completion date or shortly thereafter of your course, you need to have ticked off coursework, you need to have ticked off work experience, and you need to have ticked off CPE or continuing professional development before you can receive your completion certificate, and that's when you can move through to admission. So the coursework is attending that week 1 of face-to-face workshops. So that's lawyer skills, and then you'll do an additional 4 compulsory subjects, and then 2 electives as well. So what we might do, Jen, is then work experience and then CPD, but we might just look at this for a minute, and then I'll get Jen to share your screen. But Jen, this is very much, and feel free to jump in here and lend your expertise, because this is inching into Jen's area here as a lecturer. So this is what it's really, this is the life cycle, isn't it, Jen? You learn, so whether it's in the online workshops, it's through the materials, and Jen's going to show you some of the materials shortly. everything that's given to you, and you follow the bouncing ball and go through. This is what you need to read and learn and understand, and then then you put it into practice. So these are the tasks that you have to do. There's no big essays, there's no big exams. You're actually doing practical things. So you are submitting the documents that are the documents that you'll be expected to know how to do as an entry-level lawyer. You'll submit them to a lecturer like Jen. So that's practicing what you're learning. You'll gain feedback. So it might be like, well, this bit was really good. This is what you probably need to improve on. You've missed a little something here. Sometimes you'll be sent back to do it again. And look, don't worry, don't stress about that. Pretty much everyone has to do that. That's how we learn. And then you'll put that feedback back into your work, and then sort of review, you learn, and then you put it back into your work. It just keeps going around like that, doesn't it, Jen? And I reckon that's also how we do our jobs in real life as well. It's pretty much ongoing learning. So did you want to have a little chat about the lawyer skills workshop, some of the interactive tasks, and also maybe, show some of the resources? I might stop sharing, Jen.
Yes.
And that will allow you to share your screen.
Can I share my screen? Okay. Thank you.
And jump in with any questions as well.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Hi, everybody. I won't take up too much of your time, because if I go into too much detail, of course, it just goes over everyone's head and they start to glaze over. But I just thought what I would do is just show you the timetable. This is a fairly typical timetable, except we tweak timetables for different firms and things. But the general, if you're going into one of our general courses, you will normally do your workshops in the first week. That's the only change. And then this is a 30-week timetable. And then all of it's sort of set in stone and sort of over the next 30 weeks. But in the first 5 days, you're going to be, as Jackie said, you're going to be attending full time, and you're going to be doing quite a few workshops. We really call these the soft skills, and that's why we have to do them face to face, at least via Zoom or prior to COVID in person, because they're things that you can't really just do online by yourself. They require collaboration. For example, one of the things we do is advocacy. We run a trial during the last 2 days. So most people really enjoy the first week. We do things like, and you can see there, we do, as I said, all of the soft skills you really can't do just sitting at home by yourself. Interviewing, we do ethical decision making, how to make a decision if you're faced with an ethical dilemma, things like problem solving. So if you've got a legal problem, how do you do that? Writing and drafting, a very important workshop, negotiation, dispute resolution. And then the last 2 days are our advocacy workshop. So we spend 2 days doing that. So that's the first 5 days. There's really no work that you have to do before you come to the workshop. As I said, most people find them very enjoyable and get a lot out of it. If you're doing it online, you do have to submit activities at the end of each workshop, but we do those activities throughout the course of the day. So all you've really got to do is upload them. So the workshops are really just 9 to 5 each day for 5 days. Obviously, if you join an evening course, which is a possibility, you do those they stretch out over a much longer period and you do them in the evening, but most people do them full-time or part-time over a period of 5 days. And then you continue online. And you do the course over 15 weeks if you're doing the full-time course, or 30 weeks if you're doing the part-time course. We have a number of compulsory subjects that you must complete. The Legal Practitioners Admissions Board says you must teach ethics and professional responsibility. So you'll see there that is in the full-time course that takes about 5 weeks. These are activities that you have to submit. I'll explain that in a minute. Then we do civil litigation, followed by property practice and commercial and corporate practice. Each of those are done one by one. So you do one subject, you do the assessment for the subject, and then you move on to the next subject. After you've done the compulsory subjects, there are 2 electives that you have to do right at the end of the course. You have a choice of 8 subjects. You have to choose 2 subjects out of 8. There's things like administrative law, banking and finance, employment law, consumer law, family law, criminal law, planning and environment, and wills and estates. So there's a big choice.
And admin.
And admin, yes. And you choose 2 of those, and you will do those both at the same time. The reason being, those subjects are a lot more compact than the other compulsory subjects, so people can manage to do those at the same time, and they're the last 2 subjects that you do in the course. Now, as I said, everything is, Jackie has said we're flexible, and we are. You will find if you come to the College of Law, we are extremely flexible. Having said that, when you do enrol, the timetable is available on the learning portal, and it's set in stone. So what I mean by that is the lecturers can give you extensions, and if you're ill and you can't attend an assessment or something, we can make other arrangements. But when you start the course, everything for the 15 weeks or 30 weeks is set out in this timetable, so you know exactly what you have to submit when you have to submit it, because after the first week, everything is online. You don't have to come to the college again. The rest, after the first week, the rest of the course is simply working on materials on our online Canvas learning portal, submitting those tasks to your lecturer, and getting feedback from your lecturer on those tasks. The lecturers are very, I think, quite involved with the students. Before each task, the lecturers will give you tips about how to go about doing the task. There are a lot of materials online which will help you, and the lecturers are sort of available all day throughout business hours to help if you've got sort of any queries. But as I said, they're sort of pretty much everything is sort of set in stone, as you can see. So when you start the course, you can print off the timetable and you know what you're going to be doing over the next 15 or 30 weeks.
Because while they're flexible and they give you extensions, everything else kind of does keep running. So it is a really huge tip from both of us to stay as up to date and to not fall behind too much.
Look, Jackie is right. I don't think, like, I'm sure you're all smart people. This course, I don't want to lull you into a false sense of security. I don't think this course is a difficult course. Where people come unstuck is they start to get behind, because as you may have seen from that, actually, I'll just share that again, from that timetable, if you do the part-time course, you will usually have one of these tasks to hand in to your lecturer every week. That's marked in green. They're the tasks that you've got to hand in. So whilst we are very flexible and we will give you extensions, I always say to people, it's a good idea not to ask for them, but to try to keep up, because if you ask for an extension and you don't do an activity one week, then you've got 2 to do the next week, 3 to do the week after, and so on. So your biggest enemy in this course is really falling behind. But if you keep up with the work, whilst there is work involved, we say if you're doing the part-time course, it's about 12 to 15 hours a week. And if you're doing the full-time course, because it is a full-time course, we say about 30 to 35 hours a week. But if you are keeping up with everything, you shouldn't have too much difficulty, you know, completing the course and completing it on time. I'm going to take...
Do you have the portal open there, Jen, to show all the resources?
Yes, I will take you into the portal now. Now, I'm just going to take you, everybody, into one of the subjects that we do, and I'm taking you into the first compulsory subject, which is ethics and professional responsibility. So if you enroll in the College of Law course, you will obviously be doing a lot of your work on this. Our learning management system is Canvas, and this is the Canvas learning portal. I think it's fairly easy to understand. Most students don't find too much difficulty getting their heads around it. And what it is it sets out, as I said, ethics is the first subject. It sets out here, basically it contains everything that you need to complete the subject. So, you know, when you're at uni, you're looking up outside resources. Well, I suppose gone are the days that you really go to the library, but you know what I mean. You're looking
and buying expensive books.
None of that. It's all here online. We do have we call them practice papers, which are really the College of Law textbooks, but they can be found online as well. And you do have the option to have a hard copy sent to you. So everything you need is on this learning portal to complete the entire course. Now, if I can just take you this information here, just basically tells you what you're going to learn in the subject. Each subject has different numbers of tasks that you have to complete. In ethics, there are 3 tasks that you have to complete, and each task has a number of activities. Task 1, as you'll see here, has 2 activities. So you'd hand in, for example, one week and one the next week. Now, they're all broken up into a number of parts here. If I click on task 1 activity 1.1, if you open that up, and this is just typical of the sorts of the way the tasks are set out, it explains to you what you're supposed to do. So it gives you your instructions. I think they're pretty clear. It normally, or almost always, gives you a file down here. It's an email that you have to open with some further information. So normally you have to look at the file and look at the questions that you're being asked, and then obviously complete the task based on the, you know, answer the questions or draw the document or whatever it is. You'll do that with the use of these resources. So you'll see the instructions are here. Then there are resources. Once again, as I said, all of the resources you need to complete the task you will find here. There are links to those textbooks that I referred to previously, the practice papers. So they are all here. They are updated throughout the course of the year as well. So, for example, if something changes during the course, we can't obviously update the hard copies. They're usually printed once a year, perhaps in sort of early January, February, but we'll certainly update them online so as to ensure that you have the most update, information and update versions of the law that there can possibly be. We give you links to any legislation you might require. So, for example, in ethics, you're going to be spending a bit of time looking at the Solicitor's Conduct Rules. You can find those here, the Legal Profession Act, and all that sort of thing. There's also additional resources which are often quite interesting, articles, in the Law Society Journal, in Proctor and things like that. If there's any cases that, may be relevant to the tasks, they're here as well. And there's often videos. For example, in civil litigation, there's a video on how to do an interlocutory application. You have to do that as part of your assessment for civil litigation. So there's all sorts of information here. And then once you've completed the task, you go here and you can submit, and from here, you can submit the document. You can submit the document that you have to send to your lecturer. What happens when you submit the tasks to your lecturer? I think, as Jackie alluded to, what will happen is you will get feedback. You will get personal feedback on everything you submit. So you won't just get some generic, response spat out by a computer. Your lecturer will look at what you've submitted and they will mark it either satisfactory or not satisfactory. It's a learning experience. So sometimes you will be asked to resubmit it if it's not satisfactory. That can be sometimes because people have misunderstood the task, or perhaps they've missed out a question or something like that, or sometimes people just don't put the work in. But you certainly won't get it back and just told to do it again. You'll get feedback on everything that you send in. And as I said, you'll get it marked satisfactory or not satisfactory. When everything is marked satisfactory, you will be able to do your assessment. The assessments at the College of Law are oral assessments, and they are worth 100% of the marks. Now, before people get worried about that, can I ease your mind? I actually, when the college said they were moving to oral assessments, I thought, oh no, that's terrible. I think they are quite good, because all they really are, obviously you've got to have done the work and you've got to understand the tasks you've undertaken. Everything is accessible, but they focus primarily on the tasks, and it's really just a conversation with you and the assessor discussing the tasks that you've done. So they're largely focused on the tasks. So for example, in civil litigation, you've got to prepare a claim and statement of claim. The lecturer might say, you commenced that in the magistrate's court. Why did you do that? And you've got to know why you did that. And, the answer will probably be because, the damages claimed is less than $150,000. So provided you understand why you did what you did in the tasks, you shouldn't have you shouldn't have too much difficulty with the assessment. We're not trying to trick you or anything like that. And I think and also the benefit of the oral assessments is you actually get feedback as you're going along. So most people sort of probably know whether they've passed or they've failed by the time they've finished the oral assessment. They are open book as well. So, and they're done via WebEx, which means, once again, you don't have to leave the comfort of your own home. A couple of weeks before the assessment, you'll be asked to book in for an assessment. So you choose a time that suits you. And at the allocated time, you will just click on a link, and up there the assessor will be, and you'll have a discussion for about 45, 50 minutes about the tasks that you've done. You might be asked some general questions as well, and that will be the assessment. So I think it's really not too scary, because, as I said, it's largely based upon what you've already done, and it's done from the comfort of your own home.
And it sort of mimics work, doesn't it, Jen? It's your boss won't, your supervising lawyer won't go, oh, hey, where are you up to in that matter? Could you put 500 words on my desk to summarize that matter and where you're up to by next Friday? They'll say, hey, let's talk about this, and they'll ask you questions. And you also need to be able to communicate in explaining in plain English, not in legal speak, what's going on to your client as well. So it's teaching you those skills to be able to converse with, have those conversations with your boss and with your clients.
And I won't go into too much detail because we haven't got the time, but all of the tasks that you do online are practical. For example, writing, I know in civil litigation, you've got to write an initial letter of advice to the client, telling them about what their prospects are. You've got to draw a claim and statement of claim. You have to prepare documents for an interlocutory application. In property, you're given information. You've actually got to draw a contract. You've got to write a letter to a client giving them advice about a lease. If you've done, let's say you're doing the criminal law, criminal law as an elective, you've got to, look at some facts. You're told that someone's going to plead guilty to an offence. You've got to prepare submissions, and at the assessment, you've actually got to make those submissions. So everything you do online is very practical. And of course, what we do in the first week is also very practical. As I said, in advocacy, you're going to be doing a small trial. When we do negotiation, dispute resolution, you're actually not going to be listening to someone droning on for ages. You're going to be, obviously someone's going to give you some guidance, but you're actually going to be going off with your fellow participants, and you're going to be doing several negotiations that day. In our interviewing workshop, you're going to be actually getting a set of facts and doing interviews. So I think from that perspective, you're not going to be quoting cases or anything like that. Everything you're going to be doing is very practical. And I think it'll all be of great use to you when you get into practice. And a lot of students tell me that, that what they did at the college, they keep, for at least the first couple of years of practice, so they can refer to it. And you do get, I think, Jackie, access to the course even after you finish for about 9 months. So you still have the benefit of all this material for the best part of a year after you finish. And if you get the hard copy practice papers, I know some people keep those for years because they've got a mountain of information in them, practical information, which is of great use to you.
And we do have something called a new lawyer toolkit coming as well. It's just been tested at the moment, and that will have lots of resources for you that you're going to have access to that as soon as you start PLT. Excellent. Well, has anyone, let's check the chat and see if, or Taylor, let us know if there's any questions about the coursework start side of things.
I've just unmuted, so if there's anyone in the room that wants to sing out, you're welcome to now. You guys have any questions?
Anything jumps into your head.
For international students, can they do part-time?
Oh, that's a visa thing, isn't it, Jen? Do you know?
I don't. Look, my understanding is, and you'd have to check this, but my understanding has always been that they have to do it full-time on campus in Sydney. That's my understanding.
Yeah,
I think the answer is no, but you'd have to double check.
Yeah, that was before COVID. I'm not sure, but I think that it still is full time. Certainly, I would probably check in with our student services team. That they tend to manage all that sort of stuff, and they will be guided with whatever the rules are by the Department of Immigration.
Yeah, I think, Jackie, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think the visa requirements require you to do it full time on campus.
Yeah, well, there isn't really an on-campus at the moment, so I think it might be
right.
Yeah, on the online mode.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll give you the student services number. Sorry, we can't be a bit more informative, but we tend not to manage that part of it. We sort of have the people. We're dealing with people once they're in the course, but certainly we can check on that for you as well. Awesome. Well, I might go back to the slides and let's move through. That's the coursework. So that's part one. The second part is, there's all our beautiful lecturers. Some of them, we have many, many, many more. So basically, you'll be learning from people who, so Jen worked for many, many, many years as a lawyer, or should I just say many, because you're just such a young thing, Jen. And then found her passion as an educator of the next generation of legal professionals, and she's a full-time lecturer with many years of experience behind her, as are some of those other faces. But a lot of lecturers are what we call our adjunct lecturers, and they are still lawyers practicing out there in firms or in organisations, or barristers or mediators or part of tribunals, pretty much any role or a number of roles within the legal profession, and they also teach for us. So, they could be in the courtroom one day and then teaching you guys the next. So there's many years of experience along that slide. So you're learning from very experienced people. Okay, so Part 2, work experience. So there's 3 options at the moment: 75 days and 15 days, which the 75 days is our standard format, 15 days is our short format, and 0 days is our what's it called? Mentored 0-day option. That is our COVID option. So I believe this is only around till the end of the year. So if you're doing PLT this year, it will be a choice. If you are doing PLT in sort of the next year, you know, onwards, it may not be there. It is up to the Chief Justice, not the College of Law. And actually, as the world opens up and, you know, that we found that sort of our work experience options have increased again, and the demand for this one's gone down because people do really appreciate the actual work experience side. Okay, so if you've got a job which is your graduate role or a PLT placement that you've sourced, the standard option is 75 days of work experience. Now, here's some exciting news. If you're working at the moment, days 1 to 60 can be claimed anytime in the 2 years prior to you starting PLT. So we had a group start last week, I think it was last Monday, and they could basically look back to April 2020. Gosh, that was just as the world all shut down and we were all locked in our houses, working from home. It seems like a long time ago. But anything between April 2020 and the week before they started PLT, if they can find 60 days of legal work experience that meets the rules, they can claim those. And then the final 15 days are done during the time of their coursework or in the 2 years after their coursework. So you can see there's really 4.5 years there that they can claim that work experience. You then do a reflective journal, and that is your work experience. It's signed off by the supervisor that is that you're working for, basically the lawyer that you're working for. So you sign all the forms, they sign all the forms, and you submit them. Or there's this the short version, so it's 15 days of work experience. So much like the final 15 days of the standard work experience option, that has to be done during or after PLT, and you do an additional subject. So you don't just get to drop 60 days. There is something that replaces those 60 days. It's an additional 5-week online subject. There's a cost for that. It's $1,500. You can put that on your fee help, like your course fees, and there's a start date and an end date. So you do the 15 days and then you do the subject. So that's how that works. And then at the moment, the in-practice component, or IPC, is 0 days, but there's an 8-week program, so an 8-week online subject, plus face-to-face mentoring sessions with a mentor that we match you with. So when I say face to face, it might be online, it might be at the coffee shop. It's up to you, or where they are and where you are. Now, you will every intake, every cohort that comes in has a lecturer assigned to their group. So it might be someone like Jen, who's a mentor for that group. This is a second mentor that's just a one-on-one mentor, and you'll work through that body of work over 8 weeks, and there's an additional cost for that. So it's $2,000 because we do pay those mentors, and that is available, I believe, up until the end of the year. Not sure what's happening next year. It's one of those things where that's reviewed by the admitting body and the Chief Justice. So those are the options for work experience. You'll complete that, you'll do all the appropriate forms or assessment, and then that will tick off number 2. Now, part 3 is the continuing professional education. So basically, this is pretty easy. It's 10 modules. The advice is it takes about an hour to do each module. It's based on legal tech and business skills for the changing future of the law. So it's really interesting, and some very important skills that you'll need to be out in law land. You know, it's changing, but you also need those business skills on top of your legal skills. And this has come from the profession, which is why we developed it. It will give you an additional certificate of legal tech and business, which is awesome to add to your CV. And once you've done those 10 modules, that ticks it off. So really, you could smash them out in a weekend. You could do one a week for 10 weeks. It's completely up to you. So it's flexible to work in and around what you are doing in other parts of your life. but that's part 3. So once you've done that, tick, 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 completion date, then you'll get your completion certificate and go through to admissions. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned is when you can start. We used to have a pretty slide on this, but this deck doesn't have it, so we'll just talk about it. If you have completed your Priestley 11, which are your core subjects, different universities have different names, but they'll be on your law school website, no doubt. Once you've done those and you have no more than 2 electives to go, you can apply to the admissions board to come into College of Law earlier. So you could potentially come in your final semester if you were studying part-time. But most people will finish uni and then slide right in. You don't have to have your results yet. So you can actually, we've had people do their last exam at uni on Friday and start PLT on Monday, which is a bit crazy. But if that's what works for you and that's what you want to do, then that's an option as well. When you get your results, you just submit them at that time. So our teams to support you along the way are our wonderful student liaison officers. So our student liaison officers are there before you enroll to answer any more of your questions, all about the nuts and the bolts and the admin and those questions about visas. And then they're there to support you throughout the program as well. Sometimes if you need to reschedule assessment, that sort of stuff. We have our wonderful team of instructors like Jen, and they're there teaching you the practice skills about being a lawyer. And even though it's online, they're there for you to contact via email, phone. So you might arrange a time to speak with Jen, but she certainly can be contacted via email. There's actually an email system through our portal, which is quite cool. And they're the ones giving you the feedback and keeping your learning on track. We have 2 career coaches. So Susan, the lovely lady on screen there, she works 3 days and she has an offsider called Ruth, and she works the other 2 days. So between them, they are there every day, and you can actually book into them, book in with a one-on-one to talk about interview prep, resume reviews, and building your personal brand. They also do a lot of employability and these sorts of workshops for free for our PLT students, but we also offer them to university students. So when those are happening, I let Taylor and the team know, and she pops them out on the Facebook page or whatever social media, however they do it. So you guys are welcome to join those sessions. And cross promotion on the about to send, I'll be sending Taylor and the team the information. I think it's the 12th of May, if I'm remembering that correctly. We've got a LinkedIn workshop that I'm running with the team. Oh no, that's in, oh no, I'm fibbing. That's for Townsville, but you guys, I'm going to let you guys know because you guys might want to come along. Sorry, I'm getting my JCUs tangled up. But whatever Susan and Ruth are doing, you guys are welcome to join in. And I really encourage you to do that because these are skills that you need to add to your box of tricks before you're graduating from uni. And I'm sure that the careers service at JCU will be doing the same, and you should book into those ones as well. Okay, college connections, we've got jobs on our jobs board and also local alumni. So when I came up last year, we had a great networking function with some of local graduates and alumni around Cairns, and we'll probably be looking to do something similar mid-year as well. So keep your ears to the ground for that invitation. Okay, so PLT, do it your way and only pay for what you need. So as I mentioned, if you're doing the standard format, you're just paying the course fee. So it's $9,640 for Australian citizens and permanent residents. Fee help is available, so that's like the HEC system, or $13,910 for international students. So it's not double like it is for university, which is great. If you're doing the short format, you do the 15 days plus you pay for that extra subject, which is an extra $1,500. And if you are, if it is available and you choose to do the 0 days with the mentor match to you, that's an additional $2,000. So it's very much about your situation as to what you choose. So we're not, you know, charging sort of one fee that some people, you know, do get more stuff, and it's very much pay for what you need. So I like that. Okay. Skills for real life, role play interviews, negotiation, courtroom appearances, all under the guidance of real practitioners. It's very much about mastering the day-to-day of what it means to be an entry-level lawyer with confidence and competence. So you practice those tasks in a secure, safe and supportive environment, common tasks mimicking how real matters operate, and you gain that valuable feedback. It isn't about acing tests anymore. It's about refining those practical skills and receiving feedback in that constructive environment. And then the review session, which is the non-scary name for the oral assessment. Do you like that one, Jen? So review session, when you sit down for a chat with someone like Jen, who's very lovely and very friendly, and she will talk through what have you learned, reflect on it, and ask you a few questions, and then boom, at the end of 45 minutes, 50 minutes, you've actually done an exam and you're through that subject. So a lot of people, most people, to be honest, say, oh, I was a bit nervous about the first one, but once I got through that first one, I felt it was, you know, I was more confident going forward. So this is some stuff that we've come up with to how to select your practical legal training. And of course, step 6 is to enroll with the college, but these are some things when you're making those decisions. One, do they have regular intakes? Well, as I said, College of Law has 150 nationally throughout the year, so very regular. That averages, what, 3 a week? Very regular. Study your way. We've got part-time, we've got full-time, we've got face-to-face, we've got blended learning, we've got our evening course as well. So that pretty much, I don't know if there's any other combinations, but there's all sorts of different combinations to fit down how you want to do it. You know, we've got the 75-day option, a 25-day option, a 0-day option for work experience, and it's very much about working in around your life. Can you complete the program quickly? College of Law, you can smash through it in 15 weeks if you get your work experience done and all of your assessment in by the end date, 15 weeks, and you're on your way to getting your completion certificate and popping that in for admission. Or, of course, there's the 30-week option if you're working. Chat to friends and colleagues and people that might have gone to uni a couple of years ahead of you. So many people in Cairns do College of Law. You won't have to go very far. Chat to them about what their experience is, and even, you know, people who have done other options, but certainly chat to people who've gone through College of Law and, you know, ask them what it was like for them. Does the PLT provider have local campuses, local contact, local practitioners? All of our courses are taught by Queensland lawyers. We've been in Queensland for over 20 years. The practice papers and all our materials are correct for Queensland, for practicing in the Queensland jurisdiction, and we have local campuses. And so we've got our Brisbane one, but then we go and physically teach around the state. So we'll send people up to you as well. So step 6, enroll with the College of Law, of course. PLT by numbers, they've redone this slide for me, Jen, because when it was very small. I'm a blind old lady and I couldn't read it. It probably looks massive on the screen with Taylor and the gang. So this is what we did last year. Over 180 PLT programs in 7 Australian states and territories. Over 5,000 graduates from the College of Law just in 2021. So 5,000 new lawyers. National resources delivered by our, so over 19 locations is where we had our courses ran. We had over 425 one-on-one appointments with our 2 career consultants, and we had over 277 qualified lawyers and legal practitioners mentoring our students as lecturers. We hosted 11 free career webinars with 31 guest speakers, and you guys are welcome to join those. Over 1,000 jobs posted on the College of Law jobs board. That's nationally. You can also, if you're coming back to do masters, and I know, I know it's a lot to think about when you're getting towards the end of it. But people do that kind of anywhere from kind of 2 to 3 post admission, 3 to 10 years or more post admission. But your PLT counts towards 2 subjects, so we'll credit you 2, and you just do 6, and then you've got a very practical master's degree, and that's a subject for another night. But all of our grads say that our master's programs are very, very practical. There's a course that you can do to prepare you for it as admission for a solicitor in the UK. We also prepare for the California and the New York bar exams as well. And we're celebrating 6 years of the Centre for Legal Innovation. So that's a very cutting edge organisation within the college that focuses on tech. And if you're interested in that, let me know and I can give you some things to join for that, all for free. Okay, here's my contact information. If you are not already in LinkedIn with Jackie Owen, you should do that. So I'd love my phone to start buzzing with all of you connecting with me. And there's my email address, which Taylor has as well. So feel free to reach out via email to make a time to chat, joan@collaw.edu.au. But I do encourage you to follow the College of Law on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff, but mainly probably Facebook and LinkedIn, just to find out what's going on. And that's where you'll hear about, and I promote them on my LinkedIn too, all these free webinars. How are we going for time? If you would like to download our handbook, how fancy is this? We've all been introduced to QR codes, but feel free to give that a zap. We just got some in too, so Taylor, if you do want me to pop some in the mail, I can also pop some hard copies in. My phone just buzzed. Is that a LinkedIn request? Oh, is there a Joseph in the room? Thanks, Joseph. I'll be accepting that straight after this. So I'm going to stop sharing now. I'll come back to you guys. And if there is any questions, feel free to flick your microphone on, or flick Taylor's microphone on, and let me know.
Any questions in the room? I guess my question, apologies if you have to sort of go backwards, is for those of us who may have racked up hours already in the workplace for their work experience points.
Yes.
Are we then choosing that 15-day option?
No, you have to, the 15 days has to be done during or after coursework. You can't claim anything retrospectively. You would be doing the 75-day. So if you're working now, I'd do the 75 because it's going to save you $1,500. And hello, that's a lot of shoes or whatever your vice is. Shoes is a particularly bad one of mine. So you would do the 75 days, count 60 of the days that you've done so far in any time within that in the 2 years before you start, and then you'll just keep going with your work and do 15 days during or after your coursework.
Yeah, wonderful. That's fantastic. And definitely please do send up some flyers. We have some.
I will.
We've been talking to our careers advisor here on campus, and she's got some lovely materials. So we're getting a little bit of a kitty going for all of our events.
Yay.
We're wanting to enter the profession and looking at post-graduation paths. So that's really fantastic.
Lovely. How many of everything do you want? If I sent 30 of everything up, would that be enough to keep you going?
Yeah, that should be plenty.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And we've got some fancy new pens and some post-it notes as well. So I think I've got one of the pens in my handbag somewhere. So I'll raid the goodie cupboard and send. We've got these really cool pens. Oh, of course I can't find anything in my handbag. There's all sorts of things in there, but not what I want. But it's actually a pen on one end and a highlighter on the other. It's pretty funky.
Yeah.
So,
no.
And post-it notes. I know you guys always love the post-it notes and a few other bits and pieces. So,
any other questions from you guys in the room? No, they're all. Yeah, absolutely. A very, very big thank you. I took a couple of pictures at the beginning. In the end, there's 12 of us here tonight. So
oh, cool. I'd love that. I'd love to see the pictures, and I'll pop up on social media. So if you guys think of anything extra, I'll send Taylor. I'll get this downloaded and put it on a YouTube link and send that after Easter, because just to let you know, I will be going home at lunchtime tomorrow because I'm going to Frozen with a couple of little friends of mine. I have already seen it with my niece, but I did actually miss the first half hour because Auntie Jackie got the time wrong. I'm still upset about it. So I'll be leaving at lunchtime tomorrow, but I'll get our marketing team to put it on a YouTube link. I'm also going to send an email with the handbook, a link to download the handbook, a bunch of other things, and then I'll pop some hard copies in the mail to you. But if anyone, if I send that to you, Taylor, you can forward it on to everyone.
I've got a little database going of our
Perfect
emails, so I can forward that through. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then if anyone's got any questions at all, just email me at joan@collaw.edu.au, and we can make a time. If I can't, if it's easier to chat one-on-one, we can make it a time that suits to go through any questions as well. So I'm more than happy. And then hoping to be up there right, I think it's the last week of the holidays or the first week of the next semester. So I'll talk to you about that, Taylor, and we might organise a couple of things like a networking event similar to what we did last year with the Queensland Young Lawyers. I'm coming up with them. So they're very keen to come up there and meet everyone again. They had an absolute blast last year. So
yeah, we've got it in our calendar already. So we're really looking forward to that event.
Excellent. And then we might run something else. I'll chat to you offline, maybe a networking workshop, or
yeah, absolutely.
Do something else fun while I'm up there. So please, everyone that's listening to this or in the room, stay in touch with Taylor through the Law Student Society, and come along. So you're all very welcome to. Would love you to attend that event. I'd love to meet you guys in person. So thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. We'll let you get off home now. And thanks, Jen, as well. Thanks, Taylor, for organising this. Thanks, everyone, for being here. And I shall look forward to seeing you in person very soon. Might have to look into booking my flight soon, don't I?
Come enjoy the weather.
Yes, I know. I'm going up in June. Everyone's a bit jealous.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you,
Thanks,
Jackie.
guys.
Bye, everyone. Good luck.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.